are you? I hope you're doing wonderfully this Friday morning. It is the 9th of December. And like always, on Fridays, what we do here is kuserereka. We usher in the weekend. And because it's the festive season, we also, want to start celebrating Christmas as early as today. Thank you once again for joining us. And on this show today, on Kuserereka Friday, we have our DJ ATP DJS. Hail. Hi, man.
Niaje?
Papa,
niko fiti.
Habari ya December?
What?
Habari ya December?
Haiko fiti.
Umetupangia nini hii deck lakini? Umetupangia nini hii December?
Ni sherehe tu.
Sherehe? Hii sherehe zetu tunaanzia wapi bana? Tunaanzia wapi?
Tunaanzia Afrobeat. Tucheze ngoma za Kenya. Tukipandanga hivyo.
Okay, DJ, let me just engage you a little bit on when it comes to matters December for you as a DJ and an artist. When tunafika hii festive season, for you, is it the time that ratings then are due in terms of jobs, but still things need the same?
In the festive seasons, jobs inakuanga mingi. Guys like to party in this time. So jobs inakuanga mingi.
Zako lineup imekuwa moba bado.
Lineup iko fiti.
Okay. All right, now we'll be getting more from DJ S in just a little while as we usher in the weekend here on Kuserereka Friday. This is the Morning Drift. Apart from that, we also have an artist in studio who will be joining us later on to just have a little bit of share of his journey, and also is one of the nominees for the FEMA Awards here in the country. And apart from that, we'll also be having a conversation about Journey to Justice. It is a documentary. What does it mean? All that on the program. But before we get into that, I want to take you through what is trending, what is happening on the dailies, and what is happening in the newsroom. My name is Brian Amwai, and get us on our socials at Amwai Brian on Twitter, at Lookuptv. The hashtag is The Morning Drift. All right, now, once again, my name is Brian Amwai. You can share or be part of the conversation and the program this morning by engaging us on our socials. That is, we are live on Facebook. We are also live on YouTube. Do send us your feedback. Tell us exactly where you're watching us from and what you think about the conversations and also the stories that we are running today, and also what is trending on your side. We'll be glad to sample that as we continue with the show this morning. I want to take you through what is happening on the dailies today, and I want us to start with the Standard newspaper. What are some of the biggest topics or other stories that are being highlighted on the Standard? And let's start with this. It is a political one. Why Raila called off Jamhuri rally. Now, we do understand that Raila Odinga on 7th of December, that is this week, did actually have a rally at Kamukunji, what he called a public consultation kind of rally, where he wanted to consult with the public on exactly what the country needs and what their fears are, and the direction that the country was taken. And at that particular rally, they came up with 10 tough demands that they wanted the government to actually address, one being the cost of living, the source of the Hustler Fund, and something to do with matter school fees, because we understand subsidy for tuition fees has actually been removed by the government. Now, he then again said that he was going to hold another rally on the 12th of December. Now, if you do understand that the 12th of December is actually Jamhuri Day. So if at all the Azimio coalition was actually going to hold a rally at Kamukunji or Jacaranda, then there will be a parallel rally happening. That is a state function at Kenyatta, I believe Kasarani, if not Nyayo National Stadium, where that Jamhuri Day celebration is actually supposed to be happening. Now, with that, he had actually said he was going to do it, but now he has cancelled that, and we want to take you through some of the reasons as to why this might actually have been cancelled. Now, first, with a reluctant public battling with high cost of living, an opposition reading from different scripts, and pressure from international community, Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga is forced to cancel a protest rally planned to coincide with the December 12th National Day celebration. This is a story on page 6 of the Standard, whereby the rally that was supposed to be happening this coming the Jamhuri Day has actually been cancelled. And one of the reasons that has actually been given as to why it has been cancelled is to do with the face that what this is going to portray when it comes to the international community. They said, the leaders from the Azimio side who requested anonymity actually did say that they don't want the international community to look at Kenya as a failed state. And that is why it has been cancelled. One of the reasons, as we understand. Let me just take you through some of the things that have been written on this particular story. Now, what was billed as an opposition Jamhuri Day celebration that was to take place in Nairobi's Jacaranda grounds was cancelled without much explanation, leaving Azimio la Umoja coalition supporters and some leaders wondering what could have happened. It turns out, intense lobbying from the government, peace promoters and partners within the Azimio coalition may have pushed its leaders to abort the December 12th meeting. The coalition, at a press conference held in Nairobi yesterday, said it had called off its parallel fete. Now, in a statement read by Minority Leader in the National Assembly, this is Opio and I, the coalition, however, said it will continue with its rallies across the country in the coming days. Now, this is a story that is on page 6 of the Standard. You can actually get this particular newspaper and get to read it yourself, and they understand exactly why this rally was called off. But as I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons from one of the leaders of the Azimio, an insider, they say it was because of the first that it was going, how Kenya is going to be perceived with the international community. Now, they don't want it to look like this is a failed state because two functions happening at the same time, a government function and an opposition function in the same city. Now, another story that has been given headlines here on the Standard. It is the Ruto tour to the Western Kenya region, now mending fences in Western. President William Ruto is received by Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli, and during his working tour of Western Kenya yesterday. This is a story on page 4 of the Standard, and let me just read something from that so that you get to understand exactly what was happening in Western yesterday. Now, the government, these are some of the things that actually President Ruto did promise the people of Western. Now, the government will write off Mumias Sugar and Zoya Sugar Company debts as part of its major bailout plan. According to President William Ruto, the government will identify a strategic investor who will revive Mumias and return the once blue chip farm to profitability. Now, Mumias has a debt of 4.8 billion, excluding taxes, penalties, and fines, while Nzoia owes farmers and workers 700 million. Addressing leaders from the Western and at Kakamega Stage Lodge yesterday, President Ruto, who began a 2-day tour of the region yesterday, said he was committed to fixing the troubled sugar sector. Now, the president was in Western Kenya meeting leaders, and one of the leaders that he did actually meet was Francis Atwoli, and we'll be looking at that in our trending topics because he is actually trending on Twitter as we speak. Now, another story that has been given priority here on the Standard has to do with the jailing of Egerton Vice Chancellor for contempt. Now, Vice Chancellor Isaac Kibwage and 8 council members get 30 days in jail for disobeying orders to pay lecturers. This is a story on page 20 of the Standard. It has also been given priority. Something else that has to do with social issues. Listen to this. Why women are angrier today than 10 years ago. This is a national story, and it is on page 3. Now, this is a study that has been done to just try and find out exactly what is happening with women, because this study shows that when you talk to a woman today, tomorrow she might be angrier than she was today. So what exactly is this about? Let me just take a snippet of that. And psychiatrist Dr. Vijaya Kumar believes this is the result of tensions that have emerged as more women in these countries, in different countries that the study did take place, have become educated, employed, and economically independent. At the same time, they are tethered down by archaic patriarchal systems and culture. Now, the dissonance between a patriarchal system at home and an emancipated woman outside of home causes a lot of anger. This is what the study says. Every Friday evening at rush hour in Chennai in India, she witnesses this dynamic action. Let me just tell you what exactly that is. Now, you see, the men relax, going to a tea shop, having a smoke, and you find the women heading to the bus or train station. They're thinking about what to cook. Many women start chopping vegetables on their way back home on the train. A lot of this, to some extent, does contribute to their anger. Now, you can get that story on page 3 of this Standard. Those are some of the stories that have been given priority here on the Standard. Let me take a look at the Daily Nation and what is on this particular newspaper. Now, World Bank's bittersweet pill for Kenyans. The lender has proposed a bag full of sensitive reforms to spur Kenya's economic recovery, handing President William Ruto's regime some tough choices of fueling growth while safeguarding investor confidence and appeasing a restless population scorched by the high cost of living. Let me just take you through some of the proposals. Now, reduce spectrum fees for mobile towers, remove VAT on broadband, amend NSSF Act to increase monthly contributions, strict regulations of NSSF administrative cost, procure up to 50 new large-scale farm concessions of 2,500 acres or more, create platforms for informal sector pensions, end market dominance in telecoms, mobile money, increase safety, not funding for Inua Jamii ETC, and audit register of beneficiaries of safety, not programs. These are some of the proposals, rather, that have been put there. And it's a story on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Another story here is it has something to do with Raila Odinga, and we did touch on that when it comes to this Standard. It's also one of the topics that have been given priority here on the Daily Nation. All right? Now, that is as far as the dailies are concerned this morning. I want to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at what's trending on Twitter. Yeah, on the program, we want to look at what's trending on Twitter, and I want us to take a look at Atwoli, Francis Atwoli. That is the Secretary General of KOTU. He is actually trending, and I want us to take a look at exactly what he said here. And let me just read this. I can see it is displayed on the screen. I joined His Excellency President William Ruto today in Kakamega, that was yesterday, county, to welcome him as he begins his development tour of the region. I reminded His Excellency of the urgency of ratifying ILO C-190 and the much-needed crackdown on precarious work and outsourcing of labor. Now, Atwoli is trending because of this and because of meeting the president, and this comes as a result of what he stood for in the past election. Now, in response to that, President William Ruto did say, we salute governors, that is Fernandez Baraza, the governor of Kakamega, Natembeya George, or that is the governor of Trans Nzoia, and Governor Wilbur Otichilo, that is the governor of Vihiga, and deputy governors, a host of elected opposition MPs, MCAs, and KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli for rising above party politics and agreeing to work with us. Okay? Now, also, in response to that, when he was there, the president did say, okay, Atwoli told people to cut down trees, but as a young man, I might have disrespected him. So I asked him to forgive me. That in regards to what he was saying, William Zewa Minyororo, and all that. These are just trending topics, and what is trending on Twitter this morning. Francis Atwoli seems to have, seems to be dancing to a different tune when it comes to matters President William Ruto right now. Okay. That's as far as the trending topics are concerned. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at the news.
So mimi nilikuwa mmoja wa timu kubwa ya Arsenal na ngojea mazao yake.
Na bila shaka mpenzi mtazamaji, ni awamu nyingine tena ya bunge la mwenyeji ambapo tunasikia tu maoni ya wenyeji hasa wananchi wa kawaida. Je, maoni ni yapi?
Anakwambia wananchi ndio kila kitu. Unaona dipsi na system ni wananchi. Unaona vile wamenyorosha watu bwana.
Tumeng'oa nanga kwenye bunge la mwenyeji.
So ile kitu nasema tunamuomba asituachilie.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Good to have you join us on Heart to Heart.
We bring you stories of people who, despite the pressures they experienced, still trusted God to see them through.
The seeds that was sown in me helped me navigate and overcome that period of my life.
New testimonies, new insights, and even better revelation of the good things God has in store for us.
There is always a blessing waiting for someone in every episode.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us here on the program. It's time to bring you up to date with what is happening in the world of news. Now, let's start. Now, police officers in Nakuru County have seized bang weighing 472 kilograms worth 14 million shillings in Bahati area. Now, confirming the incident, Nakuru County Police Commander Peter Mwanzo has said that police officers impounded the vehicle ferrying the bang while patrolling the Nakuru-Nyahururu highway. The bang is suspected to be from the neighboring nation Ethiopia.
Doria waliweza kuona gari moja ambalo ni lile la Nissan. Wakati lina approach likakuwa ni kama wakalishuku jinsi lilivyokuwa likiendeshwa. Kwa hivyo officers wangu waliweza kukimbizana nalo kutoka hapa kwa hii barabara ya Nakuru Nyahururu Road mpaka wakafika mahali panaitwa Aero. Katika kupekua lile gari waliweza kupata magunia 16 ya bangi. Haya magunia 16 ya bangi yamepimwa kwa kilo, wengine kilo 35, different weights, ziko na different weights, lakini zote total weight kulingana na wataalamu wetu hapa wa kitengo cha anti-narcotics wanasema lina uzito wa kilo 472. Kulingana na utaalamu wetu ule tuko nao hapa, hii ni bangi inatoka nchi jirani. Hasa sana nasikia wengine wakiita shash. Shash ni bangi inatoka pande ya Ethiopia ambayo ni quality ya juu sana na value yake ni kubwa. Lakini jinsi inavyopita kutoka hizo nchi za mbali kuingia mpaka hapa ndani, hilo ndilo jambo linahitaji kuangaliwa zaidi. Kwa hivyo kwangu ni hongera kwa hawa officers wangu, wamefanya kazi nzuri, na ningependa tu public pia wananchi waendelee kushirikiana na polisi ili tuweze kufanya kaunti yetu ya Nakuru kuwa na usalama.
Pesa kidogo 200.
All right, now the voting exercise just happened yesterday. That is the senatorial by-election in Bungoma County. Now the voting process was characterized with low voter turnout in an election that did attract 11 candidates. Our reporter Henry Tende took a look at how the exercise unfolded.
At about 6 o'clock in the morning, most stations were open for residents of Bungoma County to exercise their democratic right of voting for their next representative in the Senate Assembly. The exercise suffering a low voter turnout, a situation that persisted for the better part of the day.
Inaonekana wazi kwamba turnout iko very low. Mnajua lazima inasababishwa na ile fikra au mawazo ya kudhania kwamba kupiga kura sasa haina maana.
We will have a reasonable turnout where I have voted. We can't quite judge because it's very early. Remember, this is a by-election of only 1 out of the 6 elections in a general election. So the levels of mobilization are likely to be different from a general election.
Frontrunners in the race drawn from Ford Kenya Party, UDA and the opposition coalition Azimio arrived at their respective polling stations to take part in the action. Wafula Wamunyenyi, who is vying on Azimio, voted at Ranje Primary School.
We hope that ile moyo, ile kujisikia kwamba hawajakuwa wakipata haki wakipiga kura haita adhiri vibaya hii election ya leo. There have been the feeling that hata mtu akipiga kura haina maana sasa.
Ruling party UDA's candidate Mwambu Mabonga arrived at Muyenga polling station to cast his vote, expressing confidence he will win the seat.
They need somebody who at least have a say in this national government, who will be able at least to keep also in touch with the national government, so that some of the promises, key promises that were promised to us as Bungoma people, are delivered within these periods of the Kenya Kwanza government. So those are key issues, and I'm sure if you look at them very well and they analyze them very well, you will definitely come to know that we stand a better chance.
Ford Kenya Party head speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula in the driving seat. Wetangula marshalling support for his party's candidate Wafula Wakoli.
Usiketi nyumbani, usipige kura, alafu baadaye waanze kusema senator ni mzuri, senator ni mbaya, hajafanya hili. Your right to criticize or to work with the senator is equal to your right to choose that senator. So mtoke mpige kura kwa wingi, na mimi nawatakia kila laheri, tuwe na kura ya amani, mshindi awe mtu wa Bungoma, mshindi afanyie kazi watu wa Bungoma, na mshindi afanye kazi na viongozi wa Bungoma.
For a voting process that went on smoothly without major hitches, the tallying exercise is currently ongoing, with the winner of the race that attracted 11 candidates expected few hours from now. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Now, Education Principal Secretary Bello Kipsang escaped civil jail term by a whisker in contempt of court case where he is accused of failing to pay the NK Brothers Limited construction firm as ordered by the court.
Education Principal Secretary Bello Kipsang today appeared in court over failing to honor court orders where he was ordered to pay 83 million Kenya shillings to the NK Brothers Limited construction company when he was at the Ministry of Regional Development.
One thing I note is that you have acknowledged that the decree out of which the matter order was obtained is still outstanding.
However, he escaped being sent to jail after the judge in his ruling said that the PS will be given more time to consult with his successor before he makes his judgment.
I hold my horses because you have stated that we are no longer in the ministry.
Elsewhere, police officer Rashid Hamed Hassan, who is charged with murder, has been dealt a major boost after a Nairobi court deferred plea against him. Through his lawyer Dunstan Omari, the suspect requested for a deferral of plea taking saying that the National Police Service is under attack by the civil societies.
We are appealing to the then Provincial Police Commandant, Japheth Koome, now Inspector General of Police, to take up this matter and return the morale of the police and defend the citizens in this Christmas season. Several police officers being arrested while in discharge of their duties is simply telling the citizens, muko peke yenu. When this incident happened, the then Provincial Police Commandant, one Japheth Koome, endorsed the actions of Rashid.
Finally, Operation Lendo Gatuzi has moved to court to challenge the Hustler Fund, saying it was launched without constitution of an advisory board. The lobby group now wants the court to suspend any further disbursement of the funds.
Alongside it, we have seen a current violation of that very constitution we are trying to amend, and that violation has been done by the establishment of the Hustler Fund, which for example, in governance called Financial Inclusion Fund. So we have 19, if you like, issues that our feeling are illegalities when this fund is being set. One of them, according to the Public Finance Act, is a requirement that they should appoint a board that will make policies and govern the fund. As far as they are concerned, government communicates through government gazette. There is no gazettement of that board. They are just mentioned of who needs to sit in the board, but the board has not been constituted.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, a section of clinical psychologists took to the streets of Nairobi following an alleged delay in the factoring in their allowances worth 180 million shillings for 2 years. Now, the 111 clinical psychologists employed by Public Service Commission have not been receiving their allowances.
This was the psychologist's rendition. A silent walk along the streets bordering the Ministry of Health, an indication of being silenced by those in authority. Armed in placards and banners displaying their demands, the clinical psychologists could no longer put up with the silence over an allegation of being shortchanged.
And these are 36 letters, to and fro. From us to the Ministry of Health, from us to SRC, from us to the Ombudsman. Alfred Moko was summoned, but he did not show up, and the case just disappeared. We've done this process. We have done our due diligence, visiting all offices from SRC to the PSC, Ombudsman, Labour, and now we have reached to this point.
In 2020, the Ministry of Health through the Public Service Commission advertised among vacancies 134 positions of clinical psychologists whose basic salaries ranged from 30,170 shillings to 40,060 shillings. 114 were reportedly employed in August 2020 for a 6-month contract that was renewed in March 2021, and most recently, a renewal and review for 3 years in November 2021, followed by an immediate deployment to the Ministry of Health.
We are only a few here, but we were employed 114 of us on August 2020. And now the process has been hindered, and we have received threats, insults, and intimidation from the office of from the Director of Human Resource. When we joined the civil service under Ministry of Health, we found out that the cadre does not exist, but now the process of creating the cadre has taken us almost 3 years. So that is the challenge. And unfortunately, they are not even paying the allowances that are stipulated on our contracts, which we have here.
In their report, the only communication from the ministry dated back to February 2021, stating that some allowances were captured erroneously, and the ministry is still in consultation with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to approve the allowances, a statement the clinical officer says were dubiously inserted into the renewed contract. Furthermore, the payslips indicate a different cadre from the one advertised in the Public Service Commission.
When the psychologists were employed by the PSC, they were employed as clinical psychologist 1, but 2 months after the employment, their cadre changed, and now they are named counselors 2, and some were administrative assistants initially from the initial payslips.
The officers have called for intervention from the spirit of the new government for the matter to be conclusively resolved. Cecilia Lubanga, Lookuptv.
Will heavily rely on experts churned out of tertiary institutions to drive his development agenda. Now, the head of state has committed to funding the higher institutions of learning to boost quality of education and address the financial crisis currently bedeviling the sector.
Vice President. Our presence at this event signals the government's readiness to partner with tertiary institutions and especially TVETs to forge a clear pathway for Kenya to deepen its competitive technical capacity, increase the number of highly skilled technical personnel, and assume global leadership in the transformational innovations and build an efficient engine to power growth in every sector of our economy. The Technical University of Kenya will play a central role in ensuring that we develop the human capital that will help us drive our country into the future. It is my commitment that our human resource is the biggest asset that we have, and the mechanism to sharpen that human resource is in education and training. Funding for public universities remains inadequate, with multiple implications for their performance and capacity to contribute optimally to the national agenda. Again, I want to commit that my administration is going to ensure that we create a framework that makes it possible for every university to admit students that the government of Kenya can support. And I am happy that we have received recommendations from different stakeholders, from vice chancellors, from the Association of Students, and the recommendations that have been made are practical and they are workable. And therefore, when we finally come through with the recommendations from the Presidential Working Party on education, we will capture all the aspects so that the 50% resources that are available to the university at the moment, which is making it very difficult for our institutions of higher learning to carry out their courses and train our young people appropriately, we can close the gaps and ensure that we provide for alternative sources of funding so that there should be adequate funding for all the courses that are provided for by our universities.
Kenya's First Lady, Rachel Ruto, has urged Kenyans to embrace tree planting as a mitigation measure for climate change. Now, the First Lady was gracing the climate change reception hosted by British High Commissioner.
And this is why I want to express my commitment to clean cooking and to ensure no one is left behind in Kenya and that our homes and places of work are safe for all. I look forward to partnering with many of you here tonight to make this dream a reality. I take this opportunity to remind us to support the government's efforts in increasing the forest cover in Kenya to address the devastating effects of climate change and desertification. Yesterday, our cabinet approved the National Tree Growing Restoration Campaign, which targets to mobilize the nation in planting and growing 15 billion trees by the year 2030, translating to 30% national tree cover.
We've committed to 2 billion shillings of UK funding to back guarantees that will lower risk for investors, encouraging investors, and in doing so, unlocking 12 billion shillings of climate finance for Kenyan projects over the next 3 years. And I'm also very, very pleased to announce 500 million shillings of new support for reforestation, planting trees.
All right. 9:45 on the dot, I believe. Yes. Now it's time to usher in the weekend the best way we know how here on Kuserereka Friday. Now listen, DJ, this is the thing. Somebody is watching here. They say, Cheperur, that's Cheperur says, hey, son of a woman, he may request this kind love to usher in the weekend. Do you have that?
I have that one.
That's gonna ask. So Chep, you'll be getting this kind love as she wants to usher in the weekend. From DJ S here on the decks and on Kuserereka Friday. Now, I want to leave it to the DJ to get to entertain you and, so that you can start feeling the mood of December and also just the Friday mood itself. And later on, we'll be coming back with a conversation on matters film, and also our artists will be joining us later on. DJ, take it over.
You tear me apart, baby.